Clarissa Shields really thought she was slick. She really thought nobody was going to catch it. She posted the caption. She posted the pictures. She hit that little butterfly emoji soft girl in the corner of the frame energy, and she genuinely believed that in the year 2026, with the entire hip-hop internet already watching her every move like she's a suspect in a case, she could quietly lift Remy Ma's exact language from an interview that dropped 72 hours ago and pass it off as her own personal awakening. And what nobody is really sitting with yet is that this is not the copy. This is the copy of the copy of the copy, and it is happening in the middle of a training camp, in the middle of a fight promotion cycle, in the middle of a career that is actively bleeding ticket sales. And the woman at the center of it is about to walk into a ring in front of a half-empty arena because the only reason anybody is still paying attention to Clarissa Shields in a hip-hop conversation right now is because she will not stop trying to become Remy Ma in real time. Everybody has been framing this like it's a petty social media thing between two women who shared a man. That is not the story. The story is that a two-time Olympic gold medalist, the woman who is supposed to be the greatest woman boxer of all time, has spent the last stretch of her career quietly outsourcing her personality to a Bronx rapper who blocked her. And when we get to the part where I show you the exact 3-day timeline between Remy sitting down with Angie Martinez and Clarissa posting the caption, and I promise you we are getting there, and I am going to walk you through the receipts frame by frame, you are going to understand why this is not a coincidence, why this is not a vibe, and why the people around her are letting her drown in public because the alternative is telling her the truth. This is the soft girl era post. 8 hours old. 3 days after Remy said those exact words on camera. And it is the loudest cry for help this sport has seen in a long time. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. Now let me back all the way up for anybody just tuning in, because the layers on this one go deep, and I need everybody on the same page before we start peeling. Clarissa Shields is a boxer. Historically great. Undisputed at multiple weight classes, Olympic pedigree, resume that on paper should have her being mentioned in every combat sports conversation this year. Remy Ma is a rapper. Bronx legend, one half of the most talked about hip-hop couple of the last 15 years alongside Papoose, and a woman whose voice, whose bars, whose whole cadence is essentially the blueprint for a very specific kind of New York female rapper energy. These two women should never have been in the same sentence. Their worlds do not naturally overlap. What connects them is a man, and that man is Papoose. Remy and Papoose were married. They were on Love and hip-hop together. They had a public, documented, televised marriage that ran for years and years. And then, in the last stretch of time, something shifted. Papoose ended up with Clarissa Shields. Clarissa is now expecting or has expecting energy around this whole situation. They are pushing this new couple narrative hard, and Remy in the meantime has walked away, glowed up, dropped music, done interviews, and is now, according to her own words, in what she is calling her soft girl era. Which is where we pick up today. Because the moment Remy sits down with Angie Martinez and says the phrase soft girl era over and over and over again in a viral interview, the exact phrase becomes the title of the video. The whole hip-hop internet starts running with it. And then 3 days later, Clarissa Shields, the current girlfriend, the woman who allegedly slid into Ray's DMs to get styling tips, the woman who has been photographed in outfit after outfit that looks like a discount version of what Remy wore first, suddenly posts a photo shoot and writes the words "real soft girl" in her caption. That is the situation. Musically, the stakes are that Remy is putting out music that is actually charting on the streets, actually being used on Get Ready With Me videos, actually being lip-synced and karaokeed on TikTok. And Clarissa is in a corner watching that happen in real time. Culturally, the stakes are that Papoose is now looking like the biggest loser in this whole equation because he left an icon for a woman who cannot stop cosplaying the icon he left. And financially, and this is the part nobody is talking about loud enough yet, Clarissa has a fight coming up that she needs to sell, and the only reason her name is trending is this. Not her jab. Not her footwork. This. Let's start with what is visible, because the surface layer of this story is already devastating before we get anywhere near the deeper stuff. Piece of evidence number 1. The Angie Martinez interview. Remy Ma sits down with Angie, one of the most influential black women in radio history, and the entire framing of the interview is her soft girl era. The title of the video on YouTube is literally Remy Ma on her soft girl era. That is not me editorializing. That is not me spinning it. That is what the platform put on the thumbnail. Remy is on camera saying it means she doesn't want to do anything anymore that has any hardness to it. She wants the door opened for her. She is not taking out the garbage. She is standing outside the passenger side until the man walks around the vehicle. She is wearing rompers now. She is choreography. She is background dancers. She is drinking Earl Grey tea. She wants floral. She wants glitter. She wants to be feminine in a way she never allowed herself to be when she was younger and grinding and playing the role of one of the guys. That is the entire thesis of the interview. Angie is amplifying it. Angie is saying, I love this for you. And the whole thing goes up 72 hours before Clarissa posts. That is piece of evidence number 1, and it is already enough to end most conversations. Piece of evidence number 2. The caption itself. Clarissa's post reads, real soft girl. Not soft. Not softer. Real soft girl. Because saying real is what you do when you are trying to establish authenticity over somebody else who already claimed the title. It is the tell. You do not say real soft girl unless you are quietly arguing that somebody else's soft girl is fake. And who, 3 days prior, was the only person in the culture publicly and loudly claiming the soft girl frame. Exactly. Piece of evidence number 3. The photo shoot itself. Remy in the Angie interview did a full 360 twirl showing off a floral romper. Talked about wanting to be in florals, wanting to be in glitter, wanting to be dainty, wanting to carry nothing but a credit card and a lip gloss. Clarissa posts a full glam photo shoot the following week. Full makeup, full hair, full pose, full caption. Energy of every chapter looks different, and this one feels like the good life. Which is the same soft girl glow-up narrative arc Remy was outlining in the interview, just retyped into Clarissa's notes app and posted under a different face. And I have to stop for a second here, because does everybody understand how insane this actually is? A woman who trains for a living, whose brand is supposed to be I am the toughest woman in the world, is now doing float Y romper photo shoots and captioning them with a competitor's phrase. That is not a soft launch. That is a personality transplant. Piece of evidence number 4. The pattern. Because this is not the first time. This is not the second time. This is the 15th time. Remy went red. Clarissa went red. Remy wore a pink fur with papoose on Love and Hip Hop years ago. Clarissa put on a pink fur with papoose. Ray's friend Juju wore a specific dress. Clarissa was later photographed in what fans immediately identified as a cheaper version of it. Remy said in a recent song the line, I know I'm on their mood board, which was not a random bar, that was a direct shot at exactly this behavior, and the woman it was aimed at responded by climbing further onto the mood board. And then, on top of all of that, this same Clarissa Shields has recently been posting videos where she is speaking with a New York accent even though she is from Flint, Michigan. Watch how you talk to me, she is saying, which anybody who knows Remy's catalog can tell you is the literal opening line of one of Ray's records. That is 4 separate pieces of documented, visible, verifiable evidence. And we have not even started yet. And oh, do I have more. Because if you thought the caption and the photo shoot and the accent and the pink fur were the whole story, you're about to find out that we are not even at the halfway point of what has been documented. The people in the comments defending her right now are about to be extremely quiet by the time I get to the interview she did yesterday, because there is a moment in that interview that I need every single person watching this video to see with their own eyes. And once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it, and once you unsee it, you will understand why the people closest to Remy have been laughing quietly for weeks. Stay locked in because the next section is where this stops being funny and starts being sad. Now, let's get into what the people who actually understand this world are saying, because the cultural layer of this is where the story really starts to breathe. First cultural moment. The Ariel Helwani interview. Ariel Helwani is one of the most respected voices in combat sports journalism on the planet. This is not some clout-chasing podcaster. This is a man whose interviews shape careers, and yesterday Clarissa sat down with him and did a freestyle. And the freestyle was to be extremely charitable, not good. It was rough. It was clunky. It was the kind of freestyle that a real MC would apologize for on the way out of the booth. But Ariel, being a host, did what hosts do, and he tried to lift her up. He said, move over Foxy Brown, move over Lil Kim, we got a new one here. And Clarissa, whose confidence is entirely externally fed, lit up. She said, I love Lil Kim, I love Foxy Brown, I love Eve. And then Ariel, doing his job, casually adds, and of course you have Cardi B, Megan, Glorilla, Lotto, Remy Ma. And in that instant, on camera, the smile drops off her face. And she says, and I want you to hear this carefully, she says I don't know many of her songs so I can't say that. This is a woman who has been photographed in Ray's outfits. This is a woman who just 3 days ago lifted Ray's exact interview language into her Instagram caption. This is a woman who has been documented studying the color of Ray's hair. And on camera, in front of Ariel Helwani, she claims she does not know Remy Ma's music. That is cultural evidence piece number 1, and it is a lie so obvious that even Ariel had to say, quote, "You went too far," unquote, and Clarissa had to pick up her drink and take a sip to reset the room. Cultural moment number 2. Ray's own bars. Remy has been telling everybody who is willing to listen exactly what is happening. In her recent song, she said, "Why the F you lying? I know I'm on their mood board." She said the line about competing with herself. She said the line about you want to be a baddie, but you're not bad enough. These are not subliminal shots. These are receipts set to music. And the fact that the mood board bar is now being replayed on TikTok every day while Clarissa is uploading real soft girl captions is not lost on anybody in this space. Cultural moment number 3. Ray's actual proximity to the culture. Ray's records are being used on Get Ready With Me videos. Her New York City French Max B Remy record has people doing karaoke to it on their own pages. Her newest record put them on has people doing full lip-sync reels. That is not manufactured. That is organic cultural traction. Meanwhile, does anybody, and I mean anybody, remember the last time somebody put a Papoose record over a Get Ready With Me clip? Papoose' own mother could not name 3 of his singles in a row. So when Clarissa Shields sits down with Ariel Helwani and says she does not know Ray's music, what she is telling on herself is that she does know Ray's music. Because Ray's music is the only music in that household that anybody outside the household actually listens to. Cultural moment number 4. The single white female comparison that people in the community have been quietly making for months. There is a movie from the 90s called Single White Female where a woman moves in with another woman and slowly starts stealing her identity. Hairstyle, clothes, boyfriend, whole life. And the reason this comparison keeps getting made in the culture is because the pattern of behavior, the hair color, the outfits, the phrases, the accent, the man, is so textbook that people who watch this stuff for a living have been sitting on this take for a while, waiting for one more piece of evidence to make it undeniable. The real soft girl caption was that piece. Now I want to acknowledge something before we keep going, because I try to be fair. Somebody watching this right now is going to say soft girl era is a phrase a lot of women use. It did not start with Remy. Clarissa can call herself soft if she wants to. And that is a fair point on its face. But the specific issue is not the phrase. The specific issue is the timing, the pattern, and the accumulated body of evidence. If this was one thing, we would let it go. If this was just the caption, we would move on. But it is the caption on top of the hair, on top of the outfits, on top of the accent, on top of the bars, on top of the fur, on top of the friend's dress, on top of the man. And when you stack all of that in a timeline, there is only one honest read, and everybody in this community already knows what it is. So do not let anybody tell you that you are reading too much into a caption. You are reading exactly the right amount into a caption. Because the caption is not the story. The caption is the confession. Now this is where I have to shift gears, because if we only talk about this on the level of who copied who and who wore what for first, we are missing the biggest part of the entire situation. This is not just an interpersonal drama. This is a business problem. This is a career management problem. This is a brand architecture problem. And I want every single person watching to follow me here, because this is the part of the video that separates people who consume hip-hop and combat sports commentary from people who actually understand how these two industries function underneath the surface. The first systemic angle. Clarissa Shields is a boxer whose entire commercial value depends on her being a boxer. Boxing does not sell fights on resumes. Boxing sells fights on personality, on brand. On the ability of a fighter to walk into a press conference and generate the kind of chaos that makes casual fans buy a ticket or click a pay-per-view. This is why Floyd Mayweather is who he is. This is why Ryan Garcia is who he is. This is why every single relevant fighter in the last 20 years has cultivated a specific, ownable, unmistakable public identity that lives independently of what happens inside the ring. And Clarissa's problem, from a pure business perspective, is that she has spent the last stretch of her career letting her identity be defined by proximity to somebody else's identity. Every headline she generates right now is a Remy Ma headline with her name attached. Every viral moment she has right now is a Remy Ma comparison. Every conversation about her is a conversation about somebody else. That is not brand building. That is brand erosion. And it means that when she walks into her next fight, the people buying tickets are not buying tickets to see a boxer. They are buying tickets to see the woman who has been publicly cosplaying somebody else in slow motion. The second systemic angle. The papoose factor. And this one is going to hurt some people. Papoose and Remy were signed to the same infrastructure. They came up in the same industry ecosystem. When they were together, that ecosystem worked because Ray's commercial appeal carried the household. Ray's radio spins carried the household. Ray's television presence carried the household. Papoose is a talented lyricist. I have said this before. He can rap. He can technically rap. What he cannot do, and this is documented over almost 2 decades, is convert that ability into commercial records that live in the culture. So when he ends up in a new relationship with Clarissa Shields, the household economics change. Now you have a rapper who cannot generate commercial traction and a boxer whose commercial ceiling is capped by her willingness to promote herself. And what you are watching in real time is a household trying to import Ray's brand equity into a partnership that does not have Ray in it. The romper. The soft girl era. The hair. The photo shoots. This is not Clarissa being weird for no reason. This is Clarissa reaching for a brand template that worked once, in a different house, for a different woman. And you cannot import a brand template. Brand equity is not transferable. It belongs to the person who built it. The third systemic angle, and this is the one nobody is saying out loud yet, is the media ecosystem around all of this. Because when Ariel Helwani soups her up in that interview, when Angie Martinez amplifies Ray's soft girl framing, when the boxing media chooses to lead with her personal life instead of her actual training camp, what you are watching is the machine deciding who gets treated as the artist and who gets treated as the sideshow. And right now, and I do not say this to be cruel, I say this because the receipts are visible, the machine has decided that Remy is the artist and Clarissa is the sideshow. That is why the interviews with Ray are titled around her music and her era. That is why the interviews with Clarissa are titled around her freestyles and her outfits. The media is not being fair or unfair. The media is following the audience. And the audience has decided who is generating original cultural content and who is generating a rerun. And here is the piece that ties all 3 angles together. In a functioning career management setup, somebody around Clarissa Shields, an agent, a manager, a promoter, a publicist, a friend with the standing to be honest, pulls her aside and says stop. Stop posting. Stop referencing. Stop matching outfits. Stop borrowing phrases. Get back in the gym. Rebuild the brand from the ground up as a boxer, not as a girlfriend, not as a rap cosplayer, not as a soft girl in a romper. But nobody is doing that. Which tells you everything you need to know about the room she is operating in right now. Either she does not have those voices around her, or she has them and she is not listening. And in this business, both of those options end at the same address. And this is where I have to say the thing I have been building toward this entire video, because everything we just walked through, the caption, the interview, the pattern, the systemic breakdown, all points to a single truth. And this truth is the one you are not going to hear from anybody else this week. The truth is that Clarissa Shields is no longer, in any meaningful commercial or cultural sense, the main character of her own career. She has, willingly or not, become a supporting character in Remy Ma's story. And that is a catastrophic development for a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Let me say that again so it lands. A woman who has won at the highest possible level of her sport, a woman whose resume should have her being spoken about in the same rooms as the greatest boxers of any gender in the modern era, has allegedly, and by the visible pattern of her own public behavior, traded her main character status for a supporting role in the ongoing saga of a Bronx rapper's post-divorce glow-up. That is the reveal. That is what all of the caption analysis, all of the outfit tracking, all of the accent watching, all of the freestyle embarrassment is actually pointing to. Because the moment you accept the frame that your caption has to reference somebody else's interview, the moment you accept the frame that your photo shoot has to answer somebody else's photo shoot, the moment you accept the frame that your soft girl era has to arrive 3 days after somebody else declared theirs, you have handed over the pen. You are no longer writing your own story. You are annotating somebody else's. And in the specific case of a public figure whose entire value proposition to the market is her singular, uncopyable, undefeated identity as a boxer, handing over the pen is the single most damaging thing you can do to your own brand. Everything that has happened to Clarissa Shields commercially in the last stretch of time, the softening ticket sales, the shifting media coverage, the tone of the comment sections, the way even sympathetic hosts have started asking questions with slight edges on them, is downstream of this one core problem. She stopped being the author of her own narrative. And when a fighter loses the narrative, the fight is already over before anybody walks to the ring. Now I want to be careful here because I always want to be fair to the people I talk about on this channel. It is possible, allegedly, that she does not see it this way. It is possible, allegedly, that she believes every one of these choices was independent and coincidental. It is possible, allegedly, that the people around her are telling her this is fine. But the pattern is the pattern. And the pattern says otherwise. And the reason this reveal matters, the reason this is not just gossip, is because we are watching, in slow motion and in real time, one of the great combat sports careers of this generation get quietly rerouted into a career that will be remembered for who she dated and who she copied instead of who she beat. That is the tragedy. That is the truth bomb. And that is why the story is bigger than a caption. But here is the thing, and I want to end on this because it matters. The right person is still winning. Remy Ma, in the middle of all of this noise, in the middle of the copycat behavior and the mood board bars and the interview lifts and the couple across town trying to import her whole brand, is still, quietly and without any real effort, running the culture. Her interview is the one everybody quoted. Her phrase is the one everybody borrowed. Her music is the one everybody is lip-syncing. Her romper is the one everybody is talking about. Her hair is the one everybody is copying. Her posture, her cadence, her whole soft girl era is the frame that the entire conversation is now happening inside. And she did not have to do anything extraordinary to earn that. She did not have to launch a campaign. She did not have to fight for airtime. She sat down with Angie Martinez, told the truth about where she is in her life, twirled once in a floral romper, and the culture responded. That is what earned brand equity looks like. That is what happens when you spend 20 plus years being unmistakably yourself in a business full of people who are being somebody else. And I want everybody watching this video, especially the young women in the comments, to understand what this actually teaches. The person who is authentically themselves always outperforms the person who is trying to reverse engineer authenticity from the outside. One woman does the interview. The other woman does the caption. One woman sets the trend. The other woman follows it 3 days late. One woman is being lip-synced on Get Ready With Me videos across the country. The other woman is doing struggle freestyles on combat sports podcasts. That is the difference. That is the contrast. That is the entire story in one sentence. And it is not going to change next week. It is not going to change next month. Because the person who is running the culture because of who she is, not because of what she posted. And the person who is chasing the culture because chasing is all she has left in this specific arena. Ray's still winning. Ray's going to keep winning. And if there is any justice left in this business, and I do believe there still is, the person with the receipts and the discipline and the actual body of work is going to keep occupying the space she has earned. The evidence is on the table. The pattern is documented. The timeline is not disputable. And the culture, as always, has already made up its mind. And this is only the start. Because we still have not gotten to the fight itself. We still have not gotten to what happens when Clarissa walks into the arena for her next bout with ticket sales lagging and the entire conversation around her being about a caption instead of a jab. We still have not gotten to what Papoose is going to do or say when the pattern gets impossible to ignore even for him. And we still have not gotten to what Remy is going to do next because the album she was teasing in that Angie Martinez interview is coming, and if the mood board bar was a warm-up, the album cut is going to be a homicide. All of that is on deck for this channel. Every reveal, every interview breakdown, every timeline update, every receipts video is going to live right here. So if you are new to this page and you have made it all the way to this point in this video, first of all, you are amazing and I appreciate you. Second of all, hit that subscribe button because I promise you this is one of those stories that we are going to be unpacking week after week for the foreseeable future, and you do not want to catch the ending without the middle. Drop your take in the comments too. Tell me if you think the caption was a coincidence. Tell me if you think Papoose sees what everybody else sees. Tell me if you think Clarissa can pull out of this dive before her next fight. I read the comments and I respond to the comments, and the best takes end up in the next video. And speaking of the next video, the one I want you to click after this is the full breakdown I just dropped on that Ariel Helwani freestyle, because there is a specific 3-second moment in that interview where you can literally see her face change when Ray's name gets brought up, and I slow that moment down frame by frame and walk you through exactly what she was thinking when the mask slipped. If you thought this video had receipts, that one has security camera footage. Click it, watch it, and I will see you in the next one.